Almost looks like an atomic bomb blew up in and around Los Angeles. The devastation is, I'm certain that more than 5 people have died from fires like this in different locations. The intensity of it, the speed of the move of the fires with the wind. And it also appears that everything that could go wrong went wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And by that I don't mean nature. I mean by the incompetence, by the ideologues who run the water system, who oversee the budgets for the fire departments, and on and on. It all came to a head. And the consequences are just unbelievable. And I'm sick and tired of the media and the left telling us that we shouldn't hold people to account. Now, what do you mean by that, Mark? They keep calling it politicization, that this is being politicized. No, it's not. When Donald Trump and others, me behind this microphone, demand to know exactly who did what it was based on, we want to understand why they keep pushing these radical ideologies that put people at risk and their homes at risk and animals at risk. We need answers. We need answers. You cannot have devastation like this and not get answers and not have accountability. You have a governor. The governor's in charge. DeSantis was in charge of Florida during the hurricanes, and he gets an A++. This guy, Newsom, is a disaster. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. These crazy, radical, phony environmental policies, these degrowth attacks on the infrastructure, on our energy, on water availability. This needs to be addressed because they want to take this act nationwide. That's what they want to do. Now, I've spent a lot of today doing research, looking online at various studies and so forth, so you don't have to. And I notice, I was using Google, that all these left-wing programs, DEI programs, equity programs, environmental justice programs, environmental reparations programs, every time I was trying to do research, these things just kept popping up, scores at a time. Every university is involved in this sham. Every university, virtually, in California. They have programs promoting this ideology. And it's taken people's lives. It's taken their homes. It's been absolutely horrendous. And we in this country, whether in California or anywhere, we need answers now. We spend trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on climate change, so-called. On the Green New Deal, so-called. We've got regulators in Washington, D.C. doing things that impact towns, cities, communities all over this country in horrendous ways. They don't represent the people. In fact, I would argue that their activities are unconstitutional. They're not our representatives. And then we have actual representatives of the people, like in California. They keep pointing fingers elsewhere. And they have their defenders, even now on television. The idea that a fire hydrant doesn't have water pressure for a situation like this in a place that has wildfires is crazy. With the kind of money that government in California pulls in and spends. I watched this guy Newsom. He's a clown. He doesn't even understand what's going on. It's up to the locals when it comes to water. No, it isn't. It's not a local issue. The water's not produced locally. Doesn't come from, originally, from local sites. Water pressure and fire hydrants. Shouldn't that be like the number one issue? So they're having to use garden hoses, which aren't going to put out fires. Now, what's amazing about that is apparently there's enough water pressure for garden hoses. We all know what's been going on. We've been witness to this, whether you live in California or anywhere else in the United States. The radical environmental groups and their lawsuits to prevent infrastructure from being formed and built and maintained. Washington, D.C. and Sacramento with their crazy-ass policies. when it comes to fish and other things. The battle over water, the water wars they call them in California. Well, now they have consequences. This isn't the only thing. Brownouts and blackouts, energy shortages, gasoline shortages, electricity shortages, water shortages, water redistribution in the state of California, which really has more natural resources, certainly a diversity of natural resources, than any other state in the country. The largest population of any other state in the country, the biggest budget of any other state in the country. It wasn't always this way, but it's this way now. It's the same ideology that has an open border and has destroyed our immigration system, destroying our communities with Venezuelan gangs, Salvadoran gangs, other criminals, fentanyl. That's man-made. That's not nature. That's man-made. Or the undermining of our police forces and law and order all across the country. They just gave Soros, Biden did, the regime, Presidential Medal of Freedom. Soros, in part, is responsible for widespread crime that's taking place in this country. Medal of Freedom. Says, I don't really care about the social consequences of my position. And that's from his days as a teenager in Germany when the Nazis were taking property, which he was involved in. He gets a Medal of Freedom. They're ultimately going to destroy the car industry. They're trying to push people into electrical vehicles that they cannot afford, where there aren't enough stations to charge up, where the car is, in my view, totally inconvenient, especially if you want to travel out of state or for some kind of distance or something like that. The grid is incapable of handling all of this electrical use. Nobody has a solution for that. Nobody's proposed a solution for that. And yet here we go, wild-eyed, in a radical ideological agenda that has real consequences. You know, we keep killing the energy industry. We're not going to have food in this country. What do you think fertilizer is made out of? What do you think tractors use when food's being harvested? What do you think trucks use in order to get the food to our grocery stores and so forth and so on? The packaging, the plastic, it's all fuel-based, all of it. All of it. Electricity can't substitute for that. We're not building nuclear plants. We're not building anything that will create the kind of energy we need. So people are going to freeze during the winter. You're going to have heat waves during the summer. And the impact is going to be devastating on life. This is what happens when you follow these ideologues, these radical, no-growth Marxist ideologues, which has been mainstreamed in the Democrat Party, in the media, and academia. Has real consequences, and we're not allowed to discuss it. We're not supposed to discuss it. Well, like hell, you cannot have a disaster like this in the United States of America, in the greatest country on the face of the earth, because these kooks, these radical kooks have taken over. And ground zero is California. Now, here's a woman who runs into Gavin Newsom in California today, whose life has been devastated. I don't know what this guy Gavin Newsom does. For many years, past years, all he does is he travels to Washington, he goes around the country, wants to be president, does media interviews. The hell, this guy's totally useless. He's the Justin Trudeau of California. That's what he is. A pretty boy who's got a low IQ, who's lazy, who doesn't do the hard work. Cut one, go.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
to fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that. I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I would. I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people are safe.
I'd like to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
Mm-hmm. Boy, she was good because she's desperate and she doesn't believe him. And the man's had years to address these issues, years. I hope you'll watch my Saturday Life, Liberty, and Levin Sunday, too. I address this. I hope you'll watch The Blaze. I address this, too. He's a liar. He's talked about cleaning up these forest floors to an extent he never did, 2021, and they caught him. And NPR, of all media platforms, reported on it. He doesn't do the things he says he's doing. He doesn't do it. And, sadly, it's left to the firefighters and to explain what's going on and why they can't do certain things. You had firefighters, there was no water coming through these hydrants. No water coming through these hydrants. This is a state that has wildfires. But you have politicians, you have bureaucrats, you have phony experts, you have environmental groups that own the damn state. The people are basically imprisoned in this mire. They're imprisoned in this mire. They pay massive property taxes, massive income taxes, massive sale taxes. The price of everything's through the roof because they cater to these unions. And you expect the state to at least to do the basics, right? But they don't because they're too busy. They're too busy redistributing wealth, catering to illegal aliens, rejiggering society. They have their ideas of what people should do and what a state should look like, and if you get in the way, they just bulldoze over you. We don't have time to clean the forests. What, for the lumberjacks? We're not going to do that. The lumberjacks are the patriots. The lumber companies are the patriots.